Another day, another slap in the face by Nintendo. The eShop for the 3DS and Wii U have been closed. Nintendo no longer wants your money, and we are now locked out of accessing a wide variety of video games in a way that supports the companies who created them. But is anybody actually surprised at this point? History repeats itself again and again with these video game companies, and we are locked out of the rich past of an entire console and handheld system. No! So why did this happen? Let's think about it. Every time you talk about media companies doing something that nobody wants, somebody has to post in the comments, which you could be posting right now if you wanted to, that it's their business. They're in the business of making money. So why would you ever want to speak against them doing what is in their best interest, which is making the most amount of money regardless of how miserable it could be making you? How could you dare to ever complain about a company doing something where the solution you're providing involves that company making less profit? Don't you know that profit is what makes the world go round? Don't you want these companies to make more money? All right, we're going into wacko territory there. But simply put, I am sure that there is a math equation sitting somewhere where they determined that the cost of maintaining the legacy systems necessary to host these video games grossly overshadows the actual profit that these games bring in. Even if it stings a little, there will always come a time where a couple of people will have to get burned because it no longer makes financial sense to cater to them. The 3DS and Wii U utilize a unique payment system exclusive to their deceased hardware, which will require more maintenance over time than you may realize because it deals with our financial systems, and those can be pretty complicated. They can't just call it good, stuff these computer systems in a basement somewhere, and just let it be. It does require some manpower. So it does make sense, right? It's not like you've bought any digital games from these systems in the last couple of years, right? Be honest. Have you? Have you really been supporting these dead systems, or are you part of the problem that has put them in the ground? All right, let's take a step back. That line of reasoning is a load of crap. A large problem is that video game companies refuse to realize the value of goodwill and how far that goodwill can go. You want to keep your customer base happy. You want to turn as many of your existing customers into whale-like brand ambassadors as possible. The best way that you can do this is to nurture and cater to your audience and make them feel special. This also includes the occasional gesture that doesn't necessarily make all of the money all at once. Case in point, when I see Sony finally starting to re-release some of their old PS1 and PS2 titles, it makes me happier with the PlayStation brand. It makes me want to focus my purchases on the PS5 as opposed to the Xbox Series X, even though I'm not necessarily buying all of these retro releases. I just like PlayStation more, and now I want to throw a little bit more money at them. This does motivate some of my purchasing habits. Let's draw a parallel to having a YouTube channel, which, when you start one, is essentially starting a small business that doesn't make any money. When you start releasing videos, you want views, watch time, oh, here's a good one, likes. You want likes, and you want subscriptions.
Okay.
Which can be obtained by hitting the subscription button.
Okay.
Yes. When people subscribe to your channel and smash the heck out of that like button, it brings a smile to that video creator's face. They then remember that they too are loved in this world. However, you know what is also great? When a person doesn't just like your content, but then they become so into it that they want to stick around, check out all of your videos, participate in your community, share the channel with their friends, and go go above and beyond in being a positive driving force of bringing new people to your channel and enriching the channel as well. These enjoyers of your content can grow from being just passive viewers to enthusiastic viewers by continuously building up as a content creator goodwill, which will then lead to further explosive growth. There is an entire side industry all about this topic. The prevailing wisdom is that you put out a certain percentage of content intended to catch the eye of potential new fans, while then putting out another percentage of content dedicated to your core fans that they will really enjoy, even if it doesn't necessarily attract new people. This all plays into your paradigm of content output. Similarly, video game companies want to build these diehard fans and not lose the ones who already are diehard fans. This is done by building goodwill, even if it doesn't see an immediate monetary return. Let's talk about Mother 3, originally released in 2006 for the Game Boy Advance, and we'll talk about this as a case study. Every year that passes is another lost opportunity for Nintendo to do right by the fans. The long-running joke of Reggie Fils-Aimé's career, ex-president of Nintendo from 2006 to 2019, was how at every big press conference, people would ask him about when Nintendo was going to release Mother 3. This is a game that people are still currently desperate to see an official release for as the sequel to Earthbound. Nintendo, in all of their wisdom, even participated in showing a video at E3 2014 where Reggie provided a voiceover to an animation of himself setting a fan on fire when asked about the title. They thought that this was a good idea. Now get this, $1 million idea here. You know what would have been even better? Just releasing the game. Put out a digital release somewhere, put out a physical release somewhere, it doesn't matter. Make it teen rated if you have to, make it even M rated if you have to. Just put it out somewhere. While yes, you can just pirate an English translated version of the game, with all of the fan demand for an official English release, Nintendo should have just bought that goodwill rather than risk tarnishing existing goodwill. Even if you don't want to personally buy a copy of Mother 3, it feels bad that people who would want to buy that game can't. And it seems like there's no good reason for that fact. The translation already exists. The fan translators of the game have said that Nintendo is free to take their work. It is also not unheard of for commercial video game companies to purchase translations from fan translators, as Xseed and NISA have done for Ys and Legend of Heroes. Reggie Fils-Aimé's great reason for why Mother 3 never got localized was because it didn't make business sense. Reggie and the rest of Nintendo should feel utter shame for letting such a stupid reason slip. That is the dumbest bureaucratic nonsense reason a company ever has for either doing or not doing something. Oh, it doesn't make business sense. Why don't you just smack yourself in the face and pass out? It will convey just as much information. If all of these Atelier and Neptunia games, with their never-ending dialogue and limited appeal, can get English translations each and every time, there is no reason why a Nintendo franchise like this can't muster it, especially when the work is being offered to you for free, especially when other companies would clamor to help out in order to get a piece of the pie because they know it would sell just for the name alone. It's just that Nintendo didn't think that they would make enough money, even though we can be sure that Nintendo would have made some money, even good money. Right now, I wish I could be a fanboy of a console manufacturer, but it is hard to give my loyalty to any of these companies. Sure, with Nintendo, there's no expectation of proper support for legacy games and hardware. Who am I kidding? But even for their current releases, they have a tendency to over-censor and over-localize. Sony has powerful hardware and better exclusives than Xbox, but they're also trending towards increased censorship, and let's be honest, they still could be doing a lot more to support their back catalog. Microsoft is pretty darn good all around, except they don't have any of the great exclusive games that Sony and Nintendo have. Back to Nintendo, there are some pretty prominent trending posts reminding us all of just how easy it is to mod the 3DS. One of the top tweets for eShop is sitting at 3.8 million views and 147,000 likes, indicating that it's actually really easy to mod your 3DS. So there is that. I'm seeing a lot of big YouTubers echo that sentiment as well. However, not everyone is necessarily comfortable with doing that, and not everyone is necessarily wanting to do that. It would be nice if there was an option to support the developers when wanting to play one of these old video games. The second-hand physical market, which is its own YouTube video, is a joke as well. And the astronomical prices for the most ridiculous of games is insane. And the only people you're supporting there are price gouging, strange people. Here is the answer. Here's the answer for Nintendo and the eShop. Build yourself an emulator. Somehow, magically, every system that ever gets hacked manages to have a version of RetroArch created immediately afterward for it that uses a core of an existing emulator to play all of the same games perfectly fine each and every time. These games don't require months of testing, and they all just work. You should be able to easily do this, at least with everything Super Nintendo and back, and probably the Game Boy Advance as well. Then, after that amazing piece of technical wizardry is created, start building software to allow further backwards compatibility that will transfer forward to any new hardware that you build in the future. The Wii U already started in this direction, which was able to play Wii games that was technically able to play GameCube games, except the hardware could not handle the smaller discs, and so that was only unlocked after you modded the system. Crap, what a miss. Sony and Microsoft managed to do this with the PlayStation 5 and Series X so that both systems can play one generation back. That's a nice starting point. This isn't just what you should do, but it's the right thing to do as well. So I'm curious what everybody thinks about this. I feel bad in particular for the Pokemon fanatics out there. If you don't already have the Pokebank downloaded, you're now screwed and can no longer transfer your Pokemon forward to later generations. This has always been a big prominent part of becoming, I guess, a super fan of the Pokemon video games. I see younger kids today getting into Pokemon, exploring the older titles, and they're trying to keep the experience as pure as possible without using anything that's hacked. This phenomenon, this cultural phenomenon, has now been cut off. It's also just another reminder that when you buy digital, you own nothing. Amazon has been known to randomly pull movies and TV shows and just no longer have them available. Light novels apparently have a tendency to disappear from Kindle sometimes. All of this crap, which I'm sure in some spreadsheet somewhere it's determined that this is, causing minimal damage, is just making me want to have nothing to do with these companies, or at least treat them as the stone cold businesses that they truly are. And it keeps me from wanting to actually be enthusiastic about these companies. So yeah, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Leave a comment, smash the heck out of that like button, and subscribe for more amazing content. See you next time.